Suzy Condrad is the current UK Boss looping champion.
That's
is that
right.
correct?
Yes, that's right.
Just back from Frankfurt, what was happening in Frankfurt?
That was the World Championships.
Ah, okay, so there was a sort of an international aspect.
There were 12 countries participating, so it was kind of a big school trip for loop artists.
So we've got Suzy here today. She's going to show us a little bit about her setup and perform a couple of songs for us. How did you get into all of this?
Well, I think I was aware of loop stations for a while, but because I'm all about song structure, I didn't think you could do that until I saw some other artists with Boss loop stations where you can have 3 loops. And within that, you can create maybe a verse, a chorus, a beat pattern. And suddenly I thought, wow, I could do this and do songs. And there are some artists doing that.
And another question really is sort of how did you choose this path rather than just girl and guitar or band and that side of things?
I suppose I worked with a band for a bit and I did acoustic stuff, but I never really wanted to be an acoustic artist. I think maybe in my head I'm quite solo, and so the acoustic guitar is a very solo instrument, but I didn't want to sound like folk. So I wanted to have a chance to experiment with different textures and feels, and I like how the loop station kind of compresses things. You can use vocal effects, and I got really into all of that, really.
So tell us a little bit about this setup here. We'll open this up.
It's
all caught. Right. So the Boss is the sort of heart of...
Yes, that's pretty fair to say. So basically I have the RC300 loop station, which is Boss's newest model. This was my prize for winning the UK Championships. I've only had it for a few months. And this is a vocal effects processor. Basically, it's very programmable in a kind of modular way. And what I like about it is that you can scroll with these buttons in between lots of preset patches. So I might have a patch for beatboxing and then one that's a kind of chorusy voice and then a normal singing voice and then a really reverby patch. It has a harmonizer and all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
So you just experiment really and see what you...
Oh, so we can say with such a sort of reliance on technology to achieve the sounds that you get, I mean, you have to be very specific. I mean, you've also got another couple of things going on here. What's that?
I've got some A/B switches so that I keep buying more instruments on eBay. So I like to set them all up and then be able to switch in between different ones for different songs. And this is just it's an old compression pedal because I've got this tiny toy Yamaha keyboard that you can't turn down enough. So I compress it with this just to warm it up a bit. Really.
Okay, and what's this up here then?
This is a Zyosynth.
Oh, it's a Novation, right?
Yes,
okay. Which
I got also on eBay because they don't make them anymore, which is a shame. I really like it as my first synthesizer. So I'm still getting my head around programming it, but it seems like it's got more than enough to be getting on with, and it's small as well, which I couldn't find many that fitted the bill in that respect.
So, I mean, the other thing was really there's quite a lot of focus on the human voice in your performance, obviously, but you do play guitar, and it looks like there's a thumb piano there and various other
bits and pieces
and synthesized.
Yeah.
I mean, do you find that when you're creating these songs, you start with a traditional songwriting, or are you actually improvising using this technology to create those songs?
I think my best ideas come to me humming on the bus, to be honest with you. So I suppose in that sense I'm a vocally led writer more than necessarily with an instrument. But that said, every time you put a lot of instruments and things into the machine, you don't know how it's going to feel. So you don't know what artistic direction to take the song in. It might end up feeling kind of punky, or it might end up being really ethereal, depending. So there's a certain amount of it is improvising with the effects and with the combinations of sounds. You've got to let it go whichever way it's going to go.
So what's the first song you're going to do for us today?
This song is called Deserve the Rain. It came to me on a bus originally, and then I worked it out with the loop station. It's quite old, and it's the one I did in Frankfurt, but I've added a few new elements to it with the RC300 that I couldn't do with the RC50, which is my old loop station.
days. You should feel left a chance. You're old enough to drive and young enough to thinking of your mind. When she calls your name, you deserve the rain. Every day you build the cage, the butters blown, gentle as a feather, heavy as a stone. No, don't try to dry your eyes. The sky is bound to break. Never wonder why. That's your mistake. Never lose the truth. It's underneath the skin. Feathers on the outside, clothes within. Every drop is planned. Land where it lands. Come and play. You deserve the rain.
Suzy, that was fantastic.
Thank you.
It seems to me, though, that this is kind of an incredibly difficult procedure because, I mean, you're being musical, which is that part of your brain, but at the same time, there's quite a lot of sort of technical, sort of choreography almost to what you're doing. I mean, how do you reconcile all of that?
I just rehearse a lot, and often I find when I'm on stage, I don't remember things as well as I might, so I colour code stuff and just try and make it as simple as possible. So when I'm in that performing state, I don't have to reason too much and be logical. And
okay.
A lot of it's very, very planned, what I do.
The first loop, let's just hear that a second. So,
the first loop, at the moment, got this, which is... So that's basically beatboxing, and later on I've added the thumb piano to it. And there's these two here are optional foot switches which can control any parameter on the RC300. So when I press this one...
Oh, so you're bringing in some kind of effect there, right?
Yes, there are effects in the box. There's a whole load of them here you can choose from, and I've chosen a gated sort of flanger because it made everything... It's quite an interesting sound. And this one has the Zyosynth and some vocals. And this one, it had a different part of the song on it, but then I wiped it at a certain point in the song and put on some vocals and the bottles that I blew. So
the other thing I noticed when you're doing this is you record something and you're straight on with the next take. I mean, that's because usually you know one gives yourself a 2-bar count in. I mean, how do you? That seems like it must be very difficult.
I suppose it is. You just have to be on the ball. I just think what put me off starting to do looping was I didn't want it to be like, oh, we have to wait now for a long time until this bit comes around again, and you don't want the audience to sort of feel like they know what's going to happen all the time. Otherwise, it's boring. So I try and mix it up as much as I can.
That's the first section that you start the song in. So you're doing the beatboxing.
Yes, if I get the microphone, I'll show you, because also what I've used is the V20 Vocal Processor, which I've pre-programmed loads of different patches into this. So when I start off with a beat, then after the beat's played in, I do the vocal, which is a mixture of the synthesizer here and a vocally distorted patch. Ho, ho, ho.
Ah, okay. Right, so this is kind of setting the basic sound of your mic, right? Is that how you use it?
Yes, I have a various different basic sounds, so maybe 3 or 4 basic ones I use. So that's a beatboxing sound, that's a bassy patch. Ho, ho, ho. This is a chorusy one for my backing vocals. This is a main vocal, and then when I do the bottles, hoo, 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 I use a harmonizer and a delay, so I get this kind of sound, which is quite interesting.
So what are you going to be doing for us next?
A song called Blood on the Bathroom Floor, which I've...
Ah, you have
This is
products.
my single, I have products. This is a studio recording I made of this song, so I actually sung everything separately into a really nice microphone to see if that would be any different, and there's a live track on the end, which is from a video. So
do you approach, what do you use for your recording setup then?
Pro Tools, and I borrowed a really nice mic because I found that the SM58 just sounded so grainy. And actually when you hear something on CD, you want to hear something nice, and if it's on a mix on iTunes, you want something that will sound a bit nicer than I could do with this particular... It's not so much the looper as the mic.
So you're kind of dealing with all of that technology yourself, you're kind of figuring out, you're not working with anybody on that as well, so that's...
I've had a little bit of help with Pro Tools, and I'm doing more and more myself. I really enjoy it, but...
So is this purely physical, or can we get this on iTunes and where else?
It's available from my website, Bandcamp, and I'm going to put it on iTunes shortly as well, I think. Yes.
Obey your